Tough day today for those of us in the Canadian sports landscape, for Canadian sports fans, and really sports fans across North America. Darren Dutchyshen passing away, the beloved Sportscentre anchor from Porcupine Plain, Saskatchewan. Dutchy, looking back, means a lot to me. We met only a couple of times. The first was way back in 2005, but I grew up watching Darren Dutchyshen on SportsCenter, actually the early days of Sports Desk. Um, and I think, with Dutch, he really was instrumental in making me fall in love with the drama of sports. And what I mean by that is watching the highlights. Now, this was an era when we watched highlights, we didn't know what the score was. There was no social media, there was no cell phones, internet really, or even then it was early days of internet. You didn't know what the score was. So when you watched the highlights, that's how you found out what happened. So when Darren Dutchyshen, or maybe it was Mike Toth, or Rod Smith, or whoever the sports desk anchors were at the time, but for me it was Dutch, they were delivering the game to you for the very first time. So they almost acted like they were the play-by-play broadcasters. They were creating the drama, and they took a 2.5, 3 hour game and narrowed it down into 90 seconds or less. And the ups and downs. We go to the first period, tied at one. Or we go to the second period, tied at one. Here come the Ducks up across the line, Korea, and they would really create drama in the game. That big save, that led to a great chance the other way, and the Leafs would score, and blah, 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 blah. And really, you were on the edge of your seat. So I talk about Bob Cole being instrumental to me as a broadcaster in terms of drama and play-by-play, and he was. I think Darren Dutchyshen was equally as influential on me and my life, especially as a broadcaster. Like, I would go, it's funny, to the back dead end street. We called it the dead end, but the back street beside the house was a dead end, a cul-de-sac. And I'd go with the tennis ball or the puck and my rollerblades or just in my shoes, and I'd be shooting on the net. And in my mind, I'd be like, here's Sundin, over to Steve Thomas, sits back to the blue line. I'd be doing the play-by-play. But what I'd also be mixing in is Darren Dutchyshen's highlights. So as much as I was Bob Cole doing the play-by-play to myself, I would say, all right, we fast forward to the second period, the Leafs down by one. But they go to the power play, and then I'd be working it around. And I'd be kind of doing the highlights. And all those things influenced, me as a broadcaster, me as a person, and created my love and my passion for the industry. So it was, Bob Cole is my idol as a play-by-play broadcaster. But Darren Dutchyshen crafted that too, because it was a different era of Sports Desk and then Sports Center. Now that we know the results, we now go watch the highlight shows to find out how it happened, not to find out what happened, right? Then it was literally to find out what happened. We did not know who was going to win the game. You're sitting in to watch the highlights, much like we're sitting in to watch a playoff game right now. It was that big of a deal when you watch SportsCenter. And then as I graduated high school in small town Saskatchewan in 2005, I went on to the University of Saskatchewan and was taking some classes in both business and kinesiology. Not sure what I wanted to do, but I was playing senior hockey in Wynyard. And we would drive back and forth. There was a bunch of us. And that November of 2005, we had a sportsman's dinner, a fundraiser, and Darren Dutchyshen came out along with Dave the Hammer Schultz and one of the Richardsons. And Darren Dutchyshen was hosting this and was one of our guest speakers. And we ended up having a really long and great conversation that night. It was awesome to meet him. Look at this picture. I'll put it up right now. This photo of me and Dutchy. And I'll tell you, this wasn't taken in a bathroom stall. Some people think it was. It wasn't. That was the Wynyard Civic Center, the paper towel dispenser. That was out in the main room, okay? But some funny comments coming in saying, awful nice of him to stop in the washroom to take a photo with you. But I digress. During the conversation, I found out that you could go to broadcasting school. Didn't know that was a thing. I thought you just happened to just fall into these positions. I found out he went to a school called Western Academy Broadcast College, or WABC, in Saskatoon. I was in Saskatoon at the time, didn't even know it existed. So thanks to Dutch, he pushed me onto the school, said, you got to check it out. Went and checked it out. And that February, like that Christmas, I dropped out of university. And by February, I was enrolled in Western Academy. Ended up getting my first job in Kindersley as the voice of the Clippers, and life goes on. And the rest, as you say, is history. So Darren Dutchyshen, very influential, not only as a kid, but also, a big reason why I even am in this business of broadcasting. And, they don't make them like that. Full of life. Um, you know, very genuine. And in a way, Dutchy's the Rob Gronkowski of broadcasting. Always lifting everybody up, goofing around. But what you understand was big heart, big smiles, big personality, and there's going to be a big void left with the passing of Dutch.